단계별 동시 행동 원칙을 준수하는 것이 중요하다는 데 대하여
President Trump returning triumphantly from Singapore. President Trump has now accomplished what no other American president has ever had the vision or the courage to even attempt.
세상 사람들은 세계의 평화와 인류의 미래에 있어서 거대한 역사적 우위를 가지는 뜻깊은 이날을 맞이할 수 있었습니다.
Only days ago, President Trump ushered in a new era of diplomacy.
세계적 사변을 이룩하신 경야능 최고領導者 동지께서는
This is something that many analysts and pundits thought was totally impossible.
그 누가 상상할 수 있었겠습니까?
The president's continued success in his every undertaking, whether in domestic politics, international trade, or foreign policy, President Trump standing taller than ever on the world stage.
만민이 우러르는 절세 위인을領導자로 높이 모신 우리 민의 무한한 긍지와 자부심.
That was produced by our friends at The Daily Show on Comedy Central. I know this is the second time you've seen it today,
yes,
John Heilemann, but it's extraordinary.
It's brilliant. You look, when North Korea is a capitalist paradise, free of nuclear weapons, and there's a thriving free market media economy, those three guys, Hannity, Dobbs, Perot, they could be big in North Korea.
They could be.
They could be big.
What does it say, though, Phil Rucker, that that's where the parallels can be drawn? I mean, I don't think you could make a mash of any of the anchors in France or the UK right now meshing so neatly with the commentary from North Korea's state-run media.
Yeah, well, it's worth remembering, Nicolle, when Trump was on the trip to Singapore, he actually watched some of North Korea's propaganda state TV and remarked to aides that he thought that the anchor lady was saying such nice things about Kim that he wishes the TV anchors in the U.S. would say those things about him. So he doesn't think, apparently, that some of these Fox hosts go far enough. But it's interesting. There, you know, I think he would love to have state TV like that. It's what he wants out of the media.
It might be the only place where Fox News comes up short. So if you thought the North Korea meeting was divisive, you haven't seen anything yet. We're now on the doorstep of another summit, this one with Trump and Vladimir Putin. National Security Advisor John Bolton is headed to Moscow next week to potentially lay the groundwork for a meeting. The Rev, everyone is still here. What do you think the president wants from Vladimir Putin, or do you think this is simply Vladimir Putin getting what he always wanted and intended from Donald Trump?
I think it's a mixture of both. I think Putin always wanted someone like Trump that would advocate G8, bring him back in rather than G7. Right. He's already picked up a lot more than he would have ever gotten from probably anybody else. I think what Trump wants, let's put aside what he may not want out, and that's a big favor. I think that Trump wants to, he's a contrarian. He wants to do, if the whole world's going this way, I'm going that way.
Is that it, or is he paying back a debt?
I think I don't think Donald Trump does anything that he does not get something out of. Right. So it's more than just his contrarian nature. That's where I'm starting. He has got to see a tangible win for him, and that means Putin probably has some things on Donald Trump that Donald Trump wants to make sure they're on a good rapport.
So John McCain's on my mind a lot. He called Kim Jong-un a short, fat dictator, murderous thug. He's called Vladimir Putin similar things, not the short and fat part. He's skinny and often shirtless, but also a murderous thug. How did we fall so far from the sort of moral clarity of Republican nominee John McCain to this guy's, summer of love with Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin?
It's a shocking thing, and you don't even have to go back as far as John McCain. You just got Mitt Romney in 2012, who stood up and was mocked by Democrats and by President Obama for saying that Russia was our main geopolitical foe. You could have a decent argument about who our main geopolitical foe is, but that was where the Republican mainstream was from World War II to Donald Trump. And it tells you something about the hollowness of the Republican Party as an apparatus, as an organization. It was a hollow organization waiting to be toppled and laid bare and laid waste to by a figure of the particular kind of charisma, the racist, white nationalist sentiments that Donald Trump exhibits, he played to the cultural conservatism. The party was changing at the grassroots, even as the elites were still the old Republican Party. Trump came along and in a very canny way said, this party isn't the party of Mitt Romney and John McCain anymore. This party is the kind of party that I could take over. I could engineer a hostile takeover, and it turned out that it didn't have to be all that hostile.
Let me, Joyce, ask you, if the creation of foreign policy that is so publicly, so brazenly, so in such a topsy-turvy way, as Heilemann is saying, from 2008 and 2012, pro-Putin, is that of any interest to people who are investigating Russia's role in the 2016 meddling of our election?
I'm sure that they're going to watch this entire summit unfold with fascination. It is almost unimaginable that Trump, who's under investigation over his ties to Russia, will go and kowtow to Putin in this summit. It's almost as though, you know, a criminal defendant, maybe a low-lying drug dealer, suddenly in the middle of an investigation of his conduct goes down to Mexico to meet with cartel leaders. I mean, who does that? So there's no doubt that prosecutors will be fascinated and that perhaps some video clip from this little misadventure will play prominently in Mueller's ultimate closing argument to a jury.
Let me follow up and ask you about the role that his national security team already plays as witnesses. We know that Bob Mueller wanted to talk to the NSA director. He wanted to talk to Mike Pompeo. He wanted to talk to Coates. He wanted to talk to all these guys. What do you think he wanted to ask them?
Some of these individuals may end up being unwitting witnesses, and I say unwitting in the sense that they were involved with Trump, they heard his thoughts. Perhaps they were part of a direct outreach by Trump asking them to kill the investigation into Mike Flynn, much like what he did with Mueller. So they may find themselves being bystanders who are drawn into the story. And of course, as upright public officials, they will cooperate with Mueller, they will testify under oath, they will tell the truth, or they will find themselves in the position that others who've lied to law enforcement have found themselves in, which is to say indicted.
And one thing to keep in mind is that his National Security Advisor, H.R. McMaster, and his deputy, Dina Powell, were in the Oval Office with Sergei Kislyak and Lavrov when he said, I fired Comey to relieve pressure. He was a nut job. I mean, they also could be witnesses in the obstruction of justice investigation.
Right, and Trump revealing information he's not supposed to reveal. I mean, there are both national security and legal issues with him trying to set this up. But I think, you know, going back to your first question, why is this really necessary? Putin has already gotten an amazing return on his investment, right? This is like betting on the Caps in August, right? Like, you already got more than anyone could have imagined you pulled out of it. He's gotten disruption amongst the West. He's gotten the G8 and the G7 not happy with him. He has a president who has diminished American democracy abroad. Our credibility is destroyed. So at this point, it's a victory lap. He's stunting on the rest of the world by meeting with Donald Trump because he's already got the new America that he wanted.
All right, we have to sneak in a break. We'll be right back.